Hi, my name is Ken Colby. I'm the author of Laser Photo Wizard, and today I'd like to give you a brief demo of some of its features and capabilities. Well, to start, let's load the image that we use on our website, which is the pretty girl here. And you can see it immediately converts it to black and white. And we have some conversion settings. So red, since the skin is red, if we'd like it darker, we can make it darker. Of course, that makes the whole thing darker, but maybe we'll pull blue up a little bit. And so you can play with that to get the image the way you want it. For the most part, the defaults, though, are pretty good. The next thing we want to do is figure out what kind of dithering we want to do. This is a grayscale image, which means that the gray has value. In our system, though in most lasers, the output has to either be on or off, black or white. So we do this in one of two ways. Either we do an outline sketch, or we do what's called dithering, where we make a pattern of dots. Green Screen Wizard has three modes: a sketch mode, a dithering mode, and a combined dithering and sketch mode. And as far as dithering goes, we have classic Floyd Steinberg dithering, or dithering of the author's design called Colby dithering. So let's take a look at sketch. So what sketch does is it tries to find the edges and create a sketch. This is very easy to create nice looking output on almost any kind of laser because it's not terribly sensitive to the laser settings. As long as it's powerful enough to mark on the laser, you'll get a pretty reasonable image. Now you can see one of the problems with sketch though is it can put little things that aren't quite correct. So if you're using the Pro version, we have an editor, and you can go in and you can erase. Let's make it a little smaller. These little dots that don't belong. I'm not going to take a lot of time for the video to make it perfect, but you get the idea. You can also paint, so you can paint black in, like for example here, it probably should have been solid black. There you go. And if you make a mistake, there's always an undo. And if you don't like that, you can redo it. So that's basically the editor. And you apply this at the end of all your settings. Okay. So now let's talk about, so that's the sketch mode. And like I said, that'll work pretty well on just about any output or any kind of laser. Now better lasers can take advantage of what we call dithering. And in that case, we change the black and white image to a series of dots. Now, the dots are actually in the right place, but because the image is reduced to fit on the screen, it gives sort of a funny pattern. So you can see that the dots are actually okay if we zoom in. You can see that the dots are pretty well arranged. Okay, but it's kind of a pain to zoom in like that. So we added what I called the gray mode, and I combined some of the dots. So this, using the dot pattern created by Floyd Steinberg, I actually create a grayscale so you can kind of see what it's going to look when you put it on the laser. To get an even better look, you can do what's called photo mouse mode. So what this does is it puts it out on a piece of wood and gives you a much better idea of how it's going to look. Now, the next one is called Colby, and the difference is, if we go back to our mouse dot mode and we blow it up a little bit, you'll see that the Colby enhances the edges a little more. So if we look at Floyd Steinberg, it doesn't really care about those edges. The Colby tries to do a little, give the image just a little more contrast. Okay, and the final mode, Colby and Sketch, which is the one I use the most, gives a much better contrast by emphasizing the edges, but still filling in kind of the gray areas. So if we take a look at this now as the photo, You can see that's going to lace pretty nicely. So that's one of I've tried about 1,000,000 different algorithms, and this is the one that seemed to, at least on my laser, work the best. So I'll be anxious to hear how you do. So normally you don't go through all of this, you just leave it set to Colby and sketch, and you just load your next image. So for example, if we did our warrior woman here, we click Colby sketch. That's it, we're ready to go. Or something more, usually I like a non-complicated background. So here, Colby and sketch is okay, but because the background's so complicated, maybe just sketch mode would be better. Okay, so that's the basic idea. Let's take a look at another example. So let's say we want to do a cool plaque with a quote. So we're going to use this quote from Josh from the Bible, serving the Lord, supposedly one of the most popular quotes out there. We go to effects and we can add text and images. So we're going to add text, and I copied the text because I'm a terrible typist, and we can pick all kinds of different fonts, but I kind of like this brush, wherever it is, brush. Where'd it go? Oh, sorry. The problem of having too many. There it is. Brush flare, that's it. Sorry. Okay. So we'll center that a little bit. And then we can also add more text. Told you I was a terrible typer. JLSH. Okay. Okay, so now that plaque's ready to go. What's going on? Why it's drawing twice is it draws a low resolution image so you can get a feel for what's going on, and then later computes the high res output. Okay, so now we're going to try something a little more difficult. We're going to create a square ornament. So what I did is I selected 6x6 300 as the image size, and I loaded the little girl. Sorry, I did this in the background. I had a couple of files missing I needed to go get. But anyways, here we go. So now if we were to laser this on a regular piece of wood, for example, we would get the output wherever it's black, it would burn the wood. But we're going to do this on plexiglass. So we're going to invert it, and we're going to put it on the back of the plexiglass, so we're going to mirror it. And of course, we're going to go with good old Colby sketch. Now, the problem is that we really don't want, wherever there's white, the laser won't do anything. Or wherever there's black, the laser won't do everything. Whenever there's white, it's going to be inverted, so it's going to burn all this. We really don't want to do that. We want a clear plastic snowflake. That's what we're going to do. So what we want to do to achieve that is we're going to add an overlay, in this case is just a little square circle. And so what that's going to do is that's going to cause the laser, because this is black and inverted, let's make it a little bigger, because this is black and it's going to be inverted, then the laser is not going to show this at all. It's just going to show a tiny circle with the picture of the girl lasered in it. Okay, and so if this was all we did, we'd get a little round circle with a picture of whoever you want inside. But what we want to do is we want to put it inside the snowflake. So we go to our text and images and we add an image. We're going to add this snowflake image. But we don't want to add as an image. We want to add it as a vector so that we can cut it. We want to scale it so it fits. Give it a second. And there you go. So what this is doing is wherever it's red, it's going to cut. That's how I have it set up. And on my laser, which is an old ancient epilogue laser that I repaired, whatever a vector is, you can set it to cut at various levels. In this particular case, I'm just going to set it to cut, and then it's going to laser the inside of it. So unfortunately, where I have my recording studio, I don't have my laser, so you just have to trust me that this works. But I can show you an image of what the output looks like. So that's basically what the output will look like when it's finished. But I didn't mean that. Well, okay. All right. So that gives you the idea. And I really appreciate you watching the video. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Please send me, if you may do some interesting work with the product, I could sure use some more samples. And I thank you for your time.